Have you been wondering which movie universe is better, Marvel or DC? According to IGN.com, Marvel has the better superheroes and villains. Three main areas Marvel is better than DC is they have made more money and have had more variety in their movies. All their movies tie together, not only one or two of them. And Marvel does a better job at making fewer variations from their comic characters to their movie characters. Let's look at the first reason. Marvel has an advantage that DC does not. They have sold the rights to some of their 23 movies to other companies and have made more than DC. DC has only stuck with one company to produce their movies. Disney bought the Marvel Cinematic Universe, but because some of the films have already been filmed with another company, they have had to sell those filming rights to that company. This allowed Spider-Man to be filmed by Sony, and by doing so, gave Spider-Man some variety from the other Marvel films owned by Disney. But it still allowed Spider-Man to make guest appearances in the Avenger movies. Marvel has made $22.5 billion since 2009 and has reached number one all-time ranking in the world. With DC only producing movies with the same company, Warner Bros., it does not allow for much variety in their movies. All their movies have a serious air about them and have very little differences from the next movie. DC has only made $5.5 billion since 2003 and has only ranked number 10 all time in the world. The first reason Marvel is better than DC is they're better at dispersing their movies to other companies. The second reason Marvel is better than DC is they tie together all their movies, not just two of them. Marvel has another advantage over DC in which Marvel movies all tie together in all their movies to fight a common good, and DC movies only have two movies that have all different characters coming together in the fight for a common evil. Marvel movies all tie together somehow, even if it's just a mention or a character making a guest appearance. Iron Man was the first Marvel movie that started the Marvel Cinematic Universe, in which Nick Fury, the guy that leads S.H.I.E.L.D., comes together to try to get Tony to join S.H.I.E.L.D. Captain America, the first Avenger, ties in with the creation of S.H.I.E.L.D. after Howard Stark, Iron Man's father, creates a serum that turns Steve Rogers into Captain America. Marvel Avengers brings together Iron Man, Captain America, the Hulk, and all the S.H.I.E.L.D. agents all together to fight off Loki, Thor's adopted brother. Superman and Batman end up having a crossover movie in which Batman is tired of Superman bringing all of his troubles to Earth and destroying the Earth practically. And the movie ends with a battle. The only other movie that brings DC characters together is Justice League, in which Batman, Superman, Wonder Woman, Aquaman, The Flash, and Cyborg all come together to fight a common evil. The second reason Marvel is better than DC is all their movies tie together at some point. The third reason is Marvel's comic characters are more similar to their movie characters than DC. The last thing that makes Marvel better than DC is, even though Marvel has slight variations from the comics to their movies, DC has made more variations that are bigger. Marvel has followed the comics more closely with the descriptions of characters, even though Clint, who is Hawkeye, in the comics he is deaf and has had many love interests in the comics, and in the movies he is not deaf and he actually has a secret family. In the Ant-Man comics, the main character was Hank Pym, and the side character was Scott Lang, but in the movies, Hank Pym is the guy that created Ant-Man, and Scott Lang is the guy that wears the Ant-Man suit and fights off all the bad guys. Iron Man, in the comics, never had his arc reactor taken out of his chest and the shrapnel also taken out. But in Iron Man 3, he actually has a procedure to take out all the shrapnel and his arc reactor. In the DC comics, there are several overlooked character flaws that end up in the movies. Lex Luthor in the comics is more stern, bald, and is a businessman, but in the movie, he is portrayed as a 21st century tech billionaire who is eccentric, socially awkward, who has a full head of hair, and has a terrible taste in fashion. The Joker, who has been portrayed in the comics as a bank robber, a cartoon pie thrower, and a sadistic monster. In Suicide Squad, he is portrayed without his infamous purple suit, and he is sporting a wannabe monster look with a body full of tattoos and a grill. In the comics, Lois Lane could never figure out Clark Kent was Superman without him actually telling her that he is. But in the Man of Steel movie, Lois Lane actually used her investigative reporter skills to find out that on her own that Clark Kent is Superman. In the comics, Alfred, Bruce Wayne's butler, has always been older, better dressed, really skinned, balder with a mustache. Although in the movies, Alfred is dressed casually with a tiny bit of business, with a full head of hair, no mustache, and he acts more like an equal than a butler. As we can see, Marvel is a better universe than DC. It is better due to Marvel being better at marketing. They tie their movies together in more than 2 movies, and they make fewer changes from the comics to the movies. If you have been wondering which universe is better, I hope I helped you with that decision.